Okay.
Good to go.
So first, what is phonics? Just so I get an idea of like what people already know or don't know. What is phonics to you, Zed?
It's a letter sound.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah. The letters and the sounds that they make. Katrina, do you know about it already?
From elementary school, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So in America, I think the system is like slightly different to the system in the UK. In fact, the system in the UK now is different to when we went to school in the UK because it's changed like recently and stuff. But I'm gonna be talking about like our way of doing phonics at Queen's, and from my perspective is partly based on 3 years teaching phonics at a UK elementary school in what we call the reception grade, which is 4 and 5 year old kids. So that's kind of what I'm basing it off. But okay, so let's start. I'm just gonna like first go through a load of resources and kind of treat you a bit like kids. Sorry, show you like how I would teach if this was a normal class. So this one, something that I do in lots of my lessons, just for like a weekly review, is a quick fire. What sound is this? Good, Matthew, 1 point. Yes, and I do the action as well. And so for every sound on this sound mat, there's a sound, obviously, s, ah, t, but there's also an action. So this is s. The action is a snake. S, ah, ah, ah. The action is me brushing ants off my arm. So try and make it fun, energetic, like funny for the kids, because then they remember it more, they enjoy it more. T, t, t. I'm watching a tennis match. T, t, t. So my eyes are watching the ball go over the net. I. And all you know the sounds already, but something that's really important is the way we pronounce the sounds. Because one of the reasons that we do this for Japanese kids is to help their English pronunciation, because obviously the Japanese sounds are pronounced differently to in English, so it's really important that we show the correct pronunciation. And one thing that lots of English parents get wrong when they're trying to teach their children phonics is they say sa. So that's wrong. Why is it wrong? Sa. Ta. That's wrong. Why is it wrong? Ta.
You're basically like making a phoneme out of one phonetic sound.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm putting an extra vowel. I'm putting like often the I'm putting an extra at the end of the sound. So I'm saying sa. If I wrote that in real phonics, I would write su, sa. But people say it because it's easier to say. So you need to be really careful how you pronounce it. And there's good videos on YouTube of exactly how to pronounce the sounds. S. So often it's like short and sharp. So there's no extra vowel sound at the end. S, a, t, I, p, k, e. And then also, as you teach Japanese kids more and more, you'll notice certain sounds in particular are particularly difficult for Japanese kids. So, what sounds? Yes. So that's got to be one of the hardest ones. Here it is. There's the R, the letter R, and so R is the letter name, and the letter L. So in phonics, it's important that we explain to the kids there's letter names R, L, and there's letter sounds R, L. And for young kids and kids who are first starting phonics and learning to read, often the big mistake that lots of English schools make is they first teach the alphabet. So they say, okay, day one, let's learn the alphabet song. A, B, C, D, great, we've all learnt it. But when you read, you don't actually read like that, do you? You don't say S-N-A-K-E. I can't even say it. What word would that be? That's not how you read. Those letter names, they only become useful when you get into more complicated reading and writing, like spelling, so when you get into, for example, down here, the AR sound, which is, so AR, I'm saying the letter names, A, R, but the sound is?
Well, it could have a rhotic or non-rhotic sound, but in the British pronunciation of it, non-rhotic, it would be ah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for me, my accent and action is ah, like go to the dentist, show Dave's wife your teeth, ah, lean back like that. That's my action, my gesture, and my accent. Don't worry about your accent, yeah, that's fine. Everyone, including the kids, will have different accents. But the alphabet letter names become useful when you get down here, because then when you're explaining kids, oh, how do you spell the word car, then you spell it with a C-A-R, yeah, so they know that it's this A-R. Or when you get even further along the line and you start writing, for example, what's this sound?
I.
I, yeah, this is my action, I. When you start writing words with the I sound in it, but which are not spelled this way. So this is like the first and easiest and most common way to spell I, but, for example, we spell night, N-I-G-H-T. So you notice I'm saying it with the letter names, N-I-G-H-T, and that's useful because then the kids know, well, it's the I sound, but if I said, oh, you spell it N-I-T, then they're going to think, oh, well, when they're more advanced, they're going to think, well, which I is it? Is it the I spelled I-E, or is it the I spelled I-G-H, or is it the I spelled, there's lots of different ways in English that we spell the same sounds. So that's when the alphabet becomes really useful. But in my opinion, and like a lot of research says, that it's best to first teach the letter sounds and save the letter names for when they're more advanced, kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So every lesson, you don't go through every single letter, do you?
No, so often it will depend on the class. But for example, so yesterday with my first class, my youngest kids, I just did the first row because I know that's all they've learned so far. But then with the next class I did 2 rows because they've been studying 2 years or something. It depends on the level. And older kids, I didn't do it at all because it's too easy. They already know it. They're already on to different, more difficult stuff. Okay. So yeah, that's one problem with these cards that are at Waseda, Chisato, for example. So, like what a lot of English teachers do is they say P says pig, but so then when you show the kids the card and you say, well, what is it? They say pig, which is great. They learnt the word pig. That's really good. But phonics-wise, when they want to read the word pat, they can't read it because they've forgotten P says pig. Actually, our memories, they remember the first and the last thing best. So when we're saying P says pig, they're more likely to remember P and pig. But the important thing for phonics is in the middle, So it's difficult to remember.
Because we've always done this from day one in Queens, haven't we? This song is famous. And I notice the last thing, when you say what's this to them, the last thing they will say, they say pig. I say no, well yes, but no, that's not what I want. They say P. And eventually they get the puh.
Yeah.
That's the last thing.
Exactly. So that's a really good example of of a problem with this method. But you can still use these cards. If you're in a school and this is the only resource you've got, you can still do it in exactly the same way that I'm suggesting. But just be careful how you do it. So I might start like this and say, what sound is this? If they don't know, then I might show them, because it's a clue, and they might remember pig. I'll say, good, okay. So pig, it's a word with 3 sounds. What's the first sound of pig? They're listening and they're thinking, pig. And I use my voice to really show them, to give them the hint. I'll say, pig. No, I try not to spit on them. Pig. If they're still not getting it, I'll do an action. So this is my action for pig. For pig. Oh, it's puh. Then then you can still use the resources, but just think about how you're doing it.
What I find very effective as well, so if you say to them, look at my mouth, look at my mouth, because even if I'm doing that song, pa 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 pa, they mimic your mouth shape after a while, and I see them and they see, you know, they see me doing the wide mouth or the and you see them drop in their jaw, you know. So they do mimic your mouth, so get them to say, look at my mouth, look at my mouth.
Like for L and R, I show them, look at my mouth. For R, the mouth comes together. For L, your tongue goes back.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my previous school, we used to have like the dental mouths that dentists use. We got a hold of those and we could show them the tongue position.
Yeah, that's quite nice. I do it, I'll stand back a bit. I do it like that with my mouth as well, the same thing, but I'll do it like, you know, I'll open my mouth, I'll put my hands in my mouth, and I'll really just show them, like, it's kind of disgusting with my own tongue, and like, I'll be like, right, so I'm doing rrr, and you can see I put my teeth together, rrr, like the dog, where is it? Rrr, the dog, it's got the rag in its teeth, rrr, and they're trying it, they're copying, they're having fun, rrr, and then I like Matthew saying, I think whilst I'm doing it, rrr, naturally, where is my tongue actually going? Rrr, well, my tongue is actually kind of relaxing up here on the top of my mouth. Can you do that when you're doing rrr? You know, so they all try, and that's really important because it is actually muscle training, you know, for your mouth to make those shapes. In Japanese they don't do it, that's why it's difficult. Then lollipop, where is it? Lollipop, who can see it? Lollipop, ah, it's here. Right there. So this is my lollipop, and you can see that you can see that I got my tongue up, and this time it's pushing against my front teeth here. Lollipop, and that's how you can make it more fun.
I've been giving them a quiz too, like I'll show them rice and lice, and I type out the word, I show them the picture, which gets them to scream a little.
Yeah, good.
And I say, do you like rice? And then they have to look at the mouth and concentrate. Which one am I saying?
Yeah, great. That's a nice, that's a nice
And then after 6 months I kind of do cover my mouth so they have to listen more carefully.
Oh, good. Yeah, great. Okay, so next resource. Just conscious of time. So these are some Jolly Phonics flashcards. So what we use here at Queen's quite a lot of Jolly Phonics resources. So these are some flashcards different to these. So we've got on one side just the letter. So you can say what sound is it, and then you can extend to the word. So for reading an actual word with this kind of phonics, we say, okay, we've got 3 sounds, 3 letters and 3 sounds. What's the first sound? And they say k. Good. What's the second sound? Ah, ah, ah. Okay, we've got k, ah. What's the third sound? T, t, t. Good, we've got k, ah, t. And the children are saying this with me, copying, repeating back to me. K, ah, t. Okay, let's say that faster. K, t, k, t, k, t. Let's say it faster and faster and try and blend it together. Squash those sounds together when you're saying them. Cat, 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 cat. And I make it as easy as necessary. You know, if the kids are young and finding it difficult, then I'll really basically say cat. And they just have to basically hear me say cat and say it back. But the older kids, they'll get it straight away and they'll see it and they'll be able to do it in their head. But that's the process of reading. Cat, good, you got it, hooray, 1 stamp, 1 point. Or the reverse process is this. So, okay, we've got a picture this time. What is it? It's a cat. Good. Cat. It has how many sounds does it have? And these 3 dots, they tell you how many sounds. It has 3 sounds. Okay, cat. Cat. It's got 3 sounds. What's the first sound of cat? Cat. What's the first sound? Oh, k. Good. So we've got k. K. Cat. What's the middle sound, and the middle sound is actually the hardest one for them to hear. So, if you want to make it easier, you might break it down with your own voice and say k, at. So then really they're hearing the first sound of at. Or you can do it the first and the last one first, and then fill in the gaps kind of thing. Depends on the level. But if I do it this way, so we've got k, at. What's the middle sound? Or the first sound of at? At. At. Good, it's at. Good, so we've got k, a, and now we just need the last sound of cat. What comes at the end to say cat? Cat. What? Cat. And they get it like that. So that's the, those are the two essential processes of phonics. And they are called, like in the sort of, like jargon, blending for reading, and segmenting for writing. Or in like more simple words, sounding out for reading and chopping for writing. So a really good document about all of this that I think Zed read last year is called Letters and Sounds, and this is the UK like phonics Bible. But it's great because it's quite easy to read and there's loads of games in it. And there's loads of explanations. So anything that you could ever want to know more is on that like PDF document. So you just need to type into Google Letters and Sounds UK, and it's the government like PDF. But I'll show you just briefly so you know what it looks like.
Do we need any kind of membership to sign in and use
No,
that? Okay.
no, it's totally free.
Maybe you can upload that link to the line group.
Yeah, yeah, I will. So it's this one. Yeah. It's also separated into phases, and basically phase 1 is the easiest, and it goes all the way down to phase 6, which is the hardest. But so, yeah, it's like 200 pages long or something, so I'm not going to show it to you, but yeah, you can see it like that. So because of time today, I won't go into like what each phase is about, but if you want to find out more, just read it on there or ask me anytime. But you'll also see some other like online resources that I use a lot. You'll also see on this website, which is called phonicsplay.co.uk. See it at the top there? You can't see it, but it says phonicsplay.co.uk. Again, you've got those same phases matching that document. But all you need to really remember is that phase 1 is the easiest and phase 6 is the hardest. So this has got loads of great games. So for example, this one is called Picnic on Pluto. You get a snack, the kids have to read it, wag, and they then have to guess, is it a real word or a fake word? So Bob has a real name, so real words go in his mouth, and Ob has a fake name, so fake words go in his mouth. So that's the game. Yeah, but it works, so they laugh, so it's more fun. Yeah, there's loads of games on there, so you can browse those. This website is a list of alpha blocks. So alpha blocks is like a TV program, again from the UK, and it looks like this. So you have alpha blocks, self-explanatory. Each letter has its own like character, and it goes around saying loads of words that begin with that sound. And the episodes that I use are like 5-minute videos normally, and there's like a little silly story, and it's like funny. Often. And this is what they do basically, they hold hands to spell words and then magic happens and they make the word. So it's a really easy way for the kids to practice reading and listening, the sounds, and then see the actual meaning of the word as well. But often what I do is, because the key moments in each episode are like these moments, often I pause it here, so they go pause, and then I ask the kids, okay, repeat, what were the sounds? At, good. Say those faster. Mat, mat, mat. What was it?
Mat.
Yes! One stamp! What's a mat? Ah, what's a mat? And you can do the meaning as well, depending on the kids, etc. So these are really great. Last year, we made like these documents which show you the page in all of these textbooks that we have. The Alpha Blocks episode, which is here on YouTube, like for free mostly, and if there's no Alpha Blocks for that page, then a game instead, or sometimes both. But so Phonics Play, that's the website that I just showed you. So it tells you what game is good for what game and or video is good for what page of your textbook.
It's a really important piece of paper, yeah. Is it, in your school you've got it stuck in the front of the textbook, so it's easy. What about here?
We keep it in the folder here.
In the folder?
And it's always on the desk in front of the computer.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So the only thing to say about this Alpha Blocks one is on YouTube, like recently, it changed a bit. So if you can't find the Alpha Blocks video like this just by typing it into YouTube, what you can do instead is just go to this website, which is just a list of all the Alpha Blocks episodes.
Is that fandom?
Yeah, I'll send it to you again, but I basically just find it every single time by typing into Google Alpha Blocks episodes, and it's like the first, there's like the third one down or whatever, list of Alpha Blocks episodes. So if you typed in list Alpha Blocks episode, it would come up first. Yeah, it's an Alpha Block wiki fandom page or something. Anyway, so it has all of the series, the episodes, and it tells you for each episode like what it's really about. So for example, it says, here we go, the cat sat on the mat. That's the one that we were just watching, and it tells you in brackets, word family AT. So it's all about at sounds. It's that is. So if you've got a lesson and you know it's about the sound ah or about the sound t, then you can see that that's going to be a good one, and you can then find it on YouTube. Any other questions so far?
The only problems I've had with Alpha Blocks is sometimes just finding the right video, because some of them are 30, 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
Some of them are 5 minutes long, and then finding the one. And even
Yeah.
if you've got like a 5 minute or an 8 minute one, that's a long, big chunk of your lesson. Finding the right part of that video,
Yeah.
like the bit where it exploded and they said map.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you just scroll through until that part comes and then put it up?
So I normally just watch it from the beginning, and normally it will happen about, it will take about that same amount of time in most episodes. It's pretty similar every time.
Yeah.
So probably within the first minute, it will happen. That will be the first time.
The 10-minute ones, the longer ones, are compilations videos.
Yeah.
And so I always choose 3 minutes or 5-minute ones.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, same.
I'll do reviews with them because it's good reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Because we've almost finished. Just look at these textbooks. So I think the textbooks are okay, but depending on like the level, some of them get too hard for some of our kids. That's what we found, like trialing it this first year, in my opinion. So the easiest ones for the youngest or beginner kids are pretty good, I think, because they're so easy, because they're simple. So I do this like Saturday mornings or Saturday with like really young kids, and yeah, it's like really easy for them to access. Then this one I find is good for the same sort of age as well, but it's like a longer book with stickers as well. But so like it might be a bit expensive for like kids who aren't paying us that much money. But I used this for like the kids a couple of years ago who were coming for 3 hours once a week every morning or whatever. So we could afford it. Because it only does, it only does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sounds, which for that amount of money and those stickers and colours is like quite expensive. This one is probably the best book I think that we use, because every week, if you do one page a week, then it's really simple. It's the same format every time, and it works well for my lessons and my kids, I find, because they've got the sound, the action, they practice the letter formation, they do letter formation of previous sounds that they've already learned so they can review those, and then they have the dots, which we call sound buttons as well, which is in that letters and sounds document, so they can practice reading, sounding it out. You can do the meanings, and they have to circle and cross out like which sound has the A, rain A, snail A, train A, ink no. So it's like that, but it's like just, you know.
That's probably the best book for
The
our
best
kids,
book,
isn't
I
it?
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
And also all the teachers, we need to learn the action. See top left under AI, it shows you the action for that. For A, what is the action for AI?
A,
A. So every time Joe is talking about A, you probably do this as much as possible. So what's this? It's A. So they just keep learning the action for it all the time if you repeatedly do it. You know?
Yeah.
And then, so as teachers, we need to learn all those actions for every letter
Yeah.
combination.
Do you think it's good the kids write in katakana the sound of especially vowels?
I think they can if they want. I think it's up to the kids. I don't tell them to do it, but I don't tell them to not do it either. So I let them choose. The only thing to be careful about is if they're writing in katakana.
They're reading katakana.
Are they? Well, there's that, but also like, are they pronouncing it correctly? Because like the English A doesn't always match up with the katakana A, for example. You know, like, so that's the only thing to be careful of. But I think, you know, like, often the kids who are doing the writing are the best students because they're really concentrating and like taking extra notes and trying hard. So yeah, I don't stop them.
No, I don't either. I think if they're writing it like katakana and say it like it'd be like a ja sound, and it's like instead of j, then I would say no, it's not. That's just j, no vowel.
But often they write the meaning of the words because they're interested in that as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Or for a little extension, for these ones, I might challenge them. Okay, so we've worked out this one doesn't have A, yes, yes, yes. Well, how do you actually write and spell rain? So then they might write A, N underneath it. You know, the 4 letters, 3 sounds, like that. But I think that's a really good book.
That's our main book, isn't it?
Yeah, these books I think we found are probably too difficult for a lot of our kids that we've tried to use it with. So sorry about that. It's good for like my Saturday morning 3-hour kids because they've been to like international preschool, so they're like really fluent or good at English, so it suits their level. You know, it's got verbs, it's got like all this vocab that they know and is like useful to them. But for most of our kids, it's too difficult. It takes too long. And then this is like kind of somewhere in between. So I don't think we've got many kids using this at the moment, but it's a pupil book, which is the same series as that really good one, but instead of being pupil book 1, it's pupil book 3. So each page is like a bit more is different. So some of the stuff is really good, but some of the stuff you might find it's a bit too difficult. Like something like that, you know, writing a whole essay is probably going to be too difficult for a lot of kids. But it's
We use that currently with our 4th grade students. They're going into 5th grade.
Yeah.
They can do almost everything except the story parts.
Yeah.
That's something that I need to do a lot of prompting and writing on the board for them.
Yeah.
They can't do that by themselves.
So maybe if you get to a page like that, just be adaptable and think, okay, so how can we make this, you know, how can we make this accessible for their level? It might just be, instead of writing a whole story, it might just be working together to write one sentence only, you know? Or it might be, you know, you write 1 minute, draw a picture, okay? Now 1 minute, try and write as many words as you can, but just one word, labels, for things that you've drawn in your picture. Boy, ball, bat, you know, whatever they can think of, you know, so it's more their level. But yeah, so that's all we've got time for, I think. Any other questions?
I use those in combination with the videos.
Yeah.
So I usually spend at least 10 minutes on phonics, really trying to
Yeah.
reinforce it.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you say that's a good amount of time?
Yeah, I
for
think
it?
that's good. I do the same as well.
Yeah.
I normally do the first 10 minutes of most of my kids' lessons are
Okay.
phonics.
So you start with phonics and then
Yeah, I
move into
start-
the stuff. Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's just my kind of routine. Because then you've still got 40 minutes left, haven't you, for everything else?
Mhm.
So we've got about 7 or 8 year groups here. If you start from then the little kids, your chin kids. But there's three levels of phonics pupil books there. So what are we doing in between?
So we're doing the activity books. So we have the new kids doing books 1 and 2. And we have the kids who are second years here, like they'd still be kindergarten, or finishing kindergarten, going into first grade. They're doing the next book, like they're doing 4 and 5
Of what?
of the phonics activity books.
Oh, activity book.
Yeah, so so it's the,
Oh, is it this one?
yes, they're doing the activity book. So we have all of those that they're doing. So right now, for example, with my first year kindergarten kids, we're finishing up. We're doing level 2 in the phonics activity book, and they're doing very well with that. It's not too overwhelming for them.
Yeah, sometimes easy is good because like you can make it more difficult easily, and the difficulty can come with the meaning of the words.
But now we have a situation where we have 2 older kids starting for the first time to study English. One is slightly better than the other, but book 1 for the pupil book is too easy for them, and pupil book 2 is too difficult. So it's
Yeah.
like, what could we do? Where do they fall in that situation?
Yeah.
What would you advise?
Well, either just like don't give them a book yet, and each lesson do a mix and match of all of the resources and books and activities, copies and stuff. Or I guess you could also look at the old phonics books that we did before. I don't think we should say like, oh, we're only Jolly Phonics because that's our system, because actually our system is a lot of things, and really it's probably better if we call our system like Active Phonics, and it's our own take on the best of everything, you know. So, because one thing to understand is that you know, like older Japanese kids, even if they're beginners in English, their phonics is going to be way better because they've already mastered Japanese phonics, and there is an overlap between Japanese phonics and English phonics. Phonics is phonics. It's like the ability to hear sounds and spell sounds and read and write basic, you know, like sounds. So that's where the problem comes in, because they're older. It's like, you know.
We put one kid on the transitional series because he's like 3rd grade, but he has never studied English before, so we have 2 phonics books. We have the one we do in class, then we have like a transitional one, not of the same series, but it helps fill in the gaps. So that would be closer to a level 1 pupil.
Yeah, yeah.
But not so simplistic.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So the pupil book 1, 2 and 3, what levels are they best suited for?
1, 2 and 3 we used with I think 2nd grade students, or 3rd grade
Which
students.
with which?
I reckon 1 is...
Pupil book.
Yeah.
So pupil book 1 may be grades 1 and 2. Pupil book 2, grades 3 and 4 maybe, but actually we said maybe pupil book 1 was good for 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then like pupil book 2 was probably better for 5 and 6.
But if they do it in 1, what do they do in 2 then?
We've been doing the activity, the Jolly activity
You're
books.
supplementing it with the activity book in
So
between.
like the Jolly activity books, they'd have 2 of them.
Right.
So out of the series, so just choosing what might be more suitable for them. So not like a single phonetic sound, but more like a phoneme that includes 2 letters.
Yeah, it's about like marrying it up with the the number of years study, isn't it? And
Yeah.
like,
Whatever's most suitable for that particular group.
Right, so you really do have to know what they are capable of and think,
Yeah.
okay, well, this is probably where they are,
Mm.
or what they could do. This might be a slight challenge.
because we're still only 1 year into using these, like everything is still like in a very early stage. So it's more a case of like, yeah, like it's easy to work out which book they should do now because there's loads of books they haven't done. But the problem might come 6 years down the line.
Yeah,
That's what you think.
yeah, that's what I was guessing at. Yeah, that's why you need to sit down with Chicago this week and finalise what books we need to order for each class, if you will.
The only group that we aren't sure of are just those 2 girls, but we think we might have chosen a book right before this.
Right.
Because we already have a kid doing that. It's a transitional book.
Cool.
And those crib cards, are they big enough, do you think, or would you rather blow them up and laminate them so they're bigger?
These ones.
Yeah.
Well, so I normally do like one and then, or say if we've got loads of kids, I'll share like one between 2. So I give them out like that. So yeah, I find they're big enough, but yeah, it might be a good idea to try blowing them up if we can do that on the new copier.
Yeah, we've got a colour copy, you see, so we can
Yeah, it might be nice.
do that.
That's the good thing about having this one up there all the time. The kids can use it and look at it and refer to it like when they need it.
Do you have the
So-
freeze?
Yes.
Is it that?
We've been doing that in book 2.
Because it's really...
I didn't, but
People
I
want to.
made the
Yeah.
word
Yes.
card style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe put the freeze up as well,
Yeah,
just for
I will.
decoration. Because you use the freeze quite a lot to refer to, don't you?
Yeah, and also it just makes the kids more independent, so they can do it without me having to help them. They can look on their own and remember.
It's very, very useful. Like in book 2, you start with doing some short spellings. And so what I do is I kind of run around the room and touch them, and we do the sounds, and then they can see, okay, it's this, then this, then this.
Do you have the flashcards?
Yes.
Right,
I already laminated them,
right.
just in case.
Yeah. And you use those?
Good.
You use those, yeah?
Yes,
Yeah,
in the lesson. Yeah, I always put them, the laminated ones by the computer.
Yeah, so the new teachers, you got to learn the actions yet, whatever it is. And, yeah. So, okay. Any questions for Joe? And that piece of paper that Joe has produced with all the links to Phonics Play, Alpha Blocks, is a really useful piece of paper. So stick it in the front cover of your books, put it on the wall by the side of the teacher's station so you can refer to it very quickly. Download, on the computers, make little folders and things on the desktop with all your links in it so you can go to things quickly and find things very quickly so you're not searching around while the kids are, wrecking a place. Be prepared, that's the thing, isn't it? And then I'm going to make another sheet that I'll send through to you with all the links that we use, useful links that we use in Queen's. So it might be how to log into my TPE, I'll talk to you more about that before, the Phonics Play links, the Alpha Blocks, the links. And we'll put them all on one sheet on like a Word doc that's live. You can just click on it and then you can save them to your own areas, computers and systems, devices you use. So you've got all the links in one place. You think, oh, what's the link for that? I can't remember. It'll all be in one place. I'll send that to you.
Okay, anything else? I'm finished, thank you. Oh,
Oh, perfect.
right.
All right, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Sorry, it's running.